You were at a retreat last week, weren't you, Peter?
I was at a retreat last week and it was absolutely fantastic.
You look refreshed. You're kind of glowing, so it did its job.
Well, thank you for that. Like, Mark normally wouldn't even comment on something like that, so...
Such a boy. Look, we're talking about glowing. We're looking at the body's largest organ. I find it fascinating, skin.
Yeah, well, look, as we were saying in the break, skin's something that a lot of people spend a lot of money on treating it topically. But the secret to really good skin is, shine from within. You've really got to get your internal system, your good gut health particularly, in tip-top order to really have good skin. So...
Okay, well, that's what we're going to be looking at. Welcome to the show, Anne in Mount Hutton. What's your question?
I'd like to know what time of a night should we stop eating before we retire?
Yeah, hi, Anne, and that's a really, really great question. And I would say the ideal time to have been finished eating by is 7 o'clock.
7?
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Our digestion actually slows down over night time, as you can imagine, getting us ready for bed. And so if we have a big dinner of a night time, which we do in our Western culture, and then eat too late and then go to bed, we've all got that food, we've got all that food sitting in our digestive tract and, causing all sorts of grief while we're asleep. So, yeah, before 7 o'clock, and then to not eat anything then, hopefully till maybe mid-morning the next morning.
What about breakfast?
And Anne, it's very hard to fit dessert in by 7 p.m, isn't it?
I reckon.
Yeah, so maybe we've got to start a bit earlier, but I like the concept of what's called time-restricted eating, where you don't eat after 7 and then you try and have breakfast maybe about 9:30 or 10:30 the next morning. So you've given your body a really good chance to do some healing and some detoxing and, getting the body back in order.
I'd be starving by then.
Well, try...
You should see how thin I am.
Well, maybe some people struggle to do that, but maybe just push it back a little bit if you can.
Okay.
But definitely not after 7 o'clock of a night time if you want to have a good night's sleep.
There goes the Tim Tams on the lounge.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, while watching crime shows. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call. 49216216. While we're talking about Tim Tams and chocolate and our topic
now,
today...
you were talking about Tim Tams and
sorry,
chocolate, Sarah.
I was doing that. We were talking about... Well, what we're going to talk about is skin. Myth or fact, when you eat chocolate, you can have breakouts in the skin?
Look, definitely if someone has a potential towards acne, then chocolate or sugar definitely is not good. Feeds the wrong types of bacteria. And I know that's been an argument for a long time, but for some people, definitely chocolate and sugar will flare up their acne.
Okay. There you go. We've heard it here. Now we know. So looking at the skin, and there's a big connection to the skin and the gut.
Well, look, us naturopaths are, as you know, always gut mad when we're talking about health.
Yeah, you are.
And, great skin really starts in the gut. Our gut and skin are in constant communication in a relationship known as the gut-skin axis. So the balance of bacteria in our gut is actually talking to the balance of bacteria on our skin.
Okay.
And our skin bacteria is very responsible for what's called the acid mantle. And that acid mantle, the pH of our skin, plays a big role in the growth of different types of bacteria as well. So if you want to have good skin, you really need to have good gut health. The second thing the bacteria does is different types of bacteria release compounds that actually have an anti-inflammatory effect in the body and on the skin as well. And if stress or dietary stuff upsets the balance of bacteria, that's very much reflected then with the bacteria on the skin, and you're more likely to get inflammatory skin conditions as well.
Is that why people get cold sores, for example, when they're stressed, if they suffer from cold sores?
Look, to a certain degree, that's to do with immunity on the skin, but it's also cold sores are an internal virus that present on the skin. So it's more with cold sores. I always say it's like if your immune system's here and the cold sore's in your system, then the virus won't break out. But if your immune system gets run down,
right,
then the virus is going to come out. It's going to break out where it's broken out before. But that's a little bit different. But it's still, when we talk about gut health, 60 to 70% of your immune system is based around the gut.
The gut.
So if your gut's out of balance, if you're getting digestive symptoms, and an interesting study I was reading was saying that a high percentage of kids or people that get acne or acne rosacea or even dermatitis
Yeah.
have a lot of gut issues as well. So there's definitely a connection between the two.
With eczema and that sort of thing, you'll often find there's multiple things. The asthmatics, usually suffer from eczema.
Yep.
They're all connected as well. So it's so interesting.
Yeah, and it's all relates back to that immune system response because, I'll often see kids with eczema and, explain to their mums that eczema is not really a skin condition. It's an immune problem that's expressing on the skin.
Right.
But the driver often for that can be, this is how stress can play a role as well, but the driver often is what's going on with the gut and that balance of good and bad bacteria in the gut, as well as, food intolerances and other things going on as well.
Well, Peter, look, when we come back, let's chat more about this because people spend a fortune on their skin. There's nothing that we don't put in our skin these days. But really, as you said, it all comes back to what we're doing inside, and it's treated by health practitioners more than anything else. So
absolutely.
We might come back
To have good skin, you need to be working from the inside out, as well as your good quality external treatments as well.
Now, we were talking about gut health and what a crucial role that plays in having good skin.
Good skin, yeah.
What else is connected to having good-looking skin and skin that looks healthy?
Well, look, from a systemic point of view, a naturopathic point of view, we're looking at gut health, the balance of good bacteria, the benefits of taking a probiotic. I was telling you about a study I just came across where they were looking at using probiotics to treat people with skin conditions and the great results they were getting just from something as simple as that. There's also our lymphatic system. So, when people ladies particularly get acne around that jawline, that can be
Yes.
due to congestion or toxicity from a lymphatic point of view. And
Okay.
the lymphatic system benefits from movement, exercise. So exercise is really important. Whenever we talk about gut and skin, we always talk about the liver as well.
That can be a good indication if something's going wrong.
Yeah, well, the liver's like a pool filter. So imagine when you were 20, you've got this brand new pool filter, and it doesn't matter what you chuck in the pool, the next day it's all beautiful and clean again.
Yeah.
So as we get older, but just generally the liver, responds well to reducing caffeine. Like caffeine makes your skin look tired and increases aging in your skin. Alcohol is a really big skin ager.
Uh-oh.
Bad news, but alcohol is a toxin and it will affect your skin health.
Sure.
And the other really big one is stress.
Yeah.
And
okay.
when someone comes back from holidays and you look at them and you think, "What have you had a facelift? Like, what have you done?" You look
Yes.
so much more relaxed. Your skin's glowing. Like, that's the benefit of stepping out of our normal routine and getting away from the humdrum
Like you
and the
look
busyness.
now after your retreat.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, the other areas that can play a big role are things like hormonal balance. Now, when acne is probably one of the most treated skin conditions in the Western world, and hormones, particularly the male or the more male-like hormones, the androgens, play a big role in women that get acne as well. So, and these androgens increase inflammation, which causes all sorts of problems with increased sebum production and hence increased bacteria then eating the sebum or whatever they do and increasing that inflammation. So you've got to get the hormonal balance right there as well.
Absolutely. So, Peter, some of the other big things we should be doing. So we're checking out our hormones and making sure that they're balanced. What else do we need to look at to make sure that our health and skin reflects
from a dietary point of view, things like, we were talking before about, particularly around acne or outbreaks, about is chocolate really a culprit?
Yeah.
And it definitely is. Dairy products, I find, is often a culprit when it comes to acne.
Okay.
And I know this sounds anecdotal, but a lot of my patients that I see that have eczema don't tend to do well with dairy protein either. And I know it's a bit of an old wives' tale, but a large proportion of patients seem to improve cutting out that dairy protein. But dairy, cow's milk. So cow's milk's a common food intolerance. It contains a substantial amount of hormones. We forget that cow's milk is, trying to turn baby calves into big steers or big cows within a 12-month period. So we've got increased growth hormone, androgen precursors, And dairy works on, or it can have an effect on increasing insulin and insulin-like growth factor that both stimulate the production of oil in the sebaceous gland, which can contribute. And then sugar as well, excess sugar or refined carbs increase blood sugar and also increase insulin. And as we said, insulin increases that oil production. So the sugar, I think, does feed the, bad bacteria tend to thrive on sugar, but it's the hormone-like effects that the sugar has on the insulin and the dairy has on the insulin that probably are more inflammatory when it comes to acne. So you've got increased male hormones and increased insulin. And what we're seeing a lot of in a lot of young women these days is an increase in PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome,
Yes.
which are hallmarked by increase in testosterone or androgens and increase in insulin as well. So polycystic is the perfect storm in some respects for fertility issues and skin issues.
And carbohydrates and sugar feeds that as well.
Yeah, drives
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
And the way we correct that is by avoiding those foods, but then losing 5 kilos, and you can make a massive difference.
So Peter, people that are listening, might have bad skin or their children or grandchildren. It's not just about the creams we're going to get to treat our face. It's also taking the time to have a look and go, what are we eating? What might we be, needing to cut out of the diet?
Looking for what are the drivers or what are the underlying triggers is the trick, because everybody's an individual as well. Like there's not just one diet for everybody that has skin conditions, and such a wide range of skin conditions as well. But there's definitely finding the underlying cause for sure.
Well, when we come back, let's talk about environment and genetics, how much that plays on your skin as well.
Definitely.
And how to heal some skin issues.
That's it.
And I guess we're looking at environment and genetics amongst other things as well.
Well, look, definitely when it comes to acne, there's seems to be a genetic predisposition. No one understands it fully, but like you'll see that, kids that get acne, often mum had acne or dad had acne.
Okay.
So that we do inherit that predisposition for problems with those male hormones and sebum and that just the precursors for developing conditions like that. And definitely we know with, as we were saying earlier, sinus asthma, eczema and hay fever does tend to run in families as well. So there's a hereditary predisposition there that people sort of inherit. But it's how you manage it. Like, we always say that our genes aren't our destiny. It's very much these days about what we call epigenetics,
okay,
which is above the genes. So our genes are more likely to become problematic when we come in contact with trauma or environmental toxins.
Yeah. Yep.
So when we talk about the skin, so emotional stress can affect our genes. Personal care products, cleaning products, perfumes. A lot of the foods, drinking out of water bottles where we're drinking those plasticizers, which are
of course,
estrogenic in nature as well. Dust, mold, all of these external elements can be triggering and exacerbating the skin conditions. So some of my patients that have eczema are really also highly reactive to dust mite.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that you don't have carpet on the floor, that you've got shutters, not curtains or blinds. And a really big one these days when we're talking about environmental triggers for that atopy is mold.
That causes all sorts of problems.
All sorts of
it?
problem. And Newcastle is actually a little bit of a hot spot with the floods we've had over the years as well. And one way to see whether mold is a problem is to go into the room. If you suspect mold in a bedroom, look on the back of your bedside tables, and if you shine your torch light on your phone across the surface, you'll see the mold that you won't see without the light.
Really? Okay, that's a good one.
So you
to
can
test.
sort of detect if there is a mold problem on back of bed heads, and if kids have got chronic sinus and hay fever, you really need to check all those things out.
Well, Peter, let's go to the phones.
Yep.
We do have a couple of phone calls. So Louise in Maitland, welcome, Louise. Now, you wanted to talk about hormones and dairy milk. What's your question?
What I'm wondering is, when Peter was saying that dairy milk can affect your hormones.
Yes. Hi, Louise.
I'm wondering if that... Oh, hi, how are you going?
Good, thank you.
I'm wondering if that can cause facial hair.
Look, I wouldn't expect that would be strong enough to cause facial hair, but increased facial hair often occurs as hormones like estrogen and progesterone start to diminish, and we do start to get more of those male hormones. So yeah, I think it'd be more changes happening in your body other than just the dairy products. But worthwhile getting your hormones tested just to see what's going on.
Okay. Thank you for the call, Louise, and we'll take one more call. Susan, you've got a question for Peter as well about a type of oil.
Yes.
Fire away.
Oh, yes, I heard something on the news. I didn't catch all of it about safflower oil being a problem with the pregnant women. I'm 75. I'm not pregnant.
You're not worried about it yourself?
No, but I make raspberry muffins that use safflower oil, and I'm just wondering, do you know the latest on that, on safflower oil?
No, Susan, I don't. I haven't heard about safflower oil, but I'm a big fan for whenever you use oil, even for cooking, always use organic and cold pressed.
Yes.
So if any oil that I come across that says vegetable oil or canola oil, or if they just call it vegetable oil but they don't tell you what's exactly in it, I try and or trans fats. I always try and steer clear of those oils and opt more for a cold-pressed organic oil. So I'd just change over and try something different in your muffins. They sound lovely, though.
Yeah, look, I'll be happy to try them out for you as well, Susan. Thank you for the call. Well, Peter, I guess that's about it. We're just about out of time, but the bottom line is if you are having issues with acne or dermatitis or another condition, find out the root of the cause before you go spending all sorts of money on things.
Dive a bit deeper and find out, what your internal health is like. And, you can't get away from getting onto the benefits of getting onto a low inflammatory diet, which is, high plant-based as much as possible, good quality proteins, cutting out the sugar in the processed food. Like, that's a great start already when it comes to healthy skin.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you next week, Peter.
Thank you, Sarah. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this podcast from 2NURFM at the University of Newcastle. Topics range from gardening to health, well-being, pet care, finance, business and travel. You'll find them all at 2NURFM.com.